Hello everyone, it is Friday and I just finished writing up the requirements for lecture, hands-on and current topics, so I'm going to go over those. And I held a hangout that nobody came to today, and I'm sure there's a reason. I don't know if each individual had their own particular reasons or whether there was something more collective that happened. So I tested out the what it is I do what's called a hangout on the air, and I scheduled that, and I provided, rather than to invite you individually, I just provided the public hangout URL in both Blackboard and in the Doodle. And the Doodle is what I use to figure out the dates. So something happened. So part of what I have this week was, for those of you that did attempt it, what happened, so I just want to try to troubleshoot that, and then we'll bring that back in a little bit. So we're doing something new this week in lecture. Now that we've finished the one lecture, 2 weeks of web development, I actually want to take now these concepts that you're starting to learn and dive into something that's really fundamental, that once you start to understand how to look at web pages from not just the code, because understanding code takes obviously more than we've done so far, but understanding how to look at it through what's called development tools or dev tools. So we're going to look at that, and then I'll go through that in a second, and then also I will have you upload what you did from the end of week 6 lecture as far as the hand coding up to Google Drive and show you how to do that. It took me a few minutes to kind of walk through the process, but once I did, it kind of clicked and I went, oh yeah, I forgot how to do this, and it worked pretty well. Alright, and I will shout out again that I really encourage you to think about going to DevFest this year. devfest.gdgfresno.com. Sign up as a student. Again, if you're not able to financially afford that, come see me, and based on our interview, which shouldn't be very long, I'd be more than happy to gift you a ticket if that's the situation. Anyway, okay, so let's turn to the screen and get started. So first with lecture, like I said, Code School. So Code School, with Google's help, developed. God, I'm going to open up another tab here, so hopefully it won't slow things down too much. Interesting, having said that, have you ever realized how much each tab takes? I actually did a lecture on this in my CIT12 class, and I would tell you it's probably much more than you realize. Okay, look at this, and the reason I said this is that I'm getting a not responding. Hold on, I think that's actually something different. There it is. There's Code School. I'm going to actually get rid of that tab. There we go. So here's Code School. So you can create a free account, or you can log in using a Google Plus account, a Twitter account, a GitHub account. So you can use something. You don't have to create an account here, but you have to get in, and you do need to do this for the work that you have to do this week. So you're going to start this free course, okay? And there's going to be 7 chapters. Now don't freak out, the chapters are pretty short. Now the thing I would tell you here, first let me go through it. So that's the site, and you have to get in, create an account, or use an existing other account. We could actually talk about what that's termed, and let me come back here. And so I'm going to give you 2 ways to do this, because some of you have more experience than others, and so you can either attempt this by just watching the videos and taking notes, and you need to choose one path or the other, don't intermingle them, or you're going to do the hands-on, because this is the way the course is laid out, is that you go in and I already have an account, but I don't think I have to. Actually, let me sign in, because I actually believe I've already used my Google Plus account for this, because I've actually been through this particular course because it's really good. You can kind of see what I did here. Oh, I had a hall pass, which is awesome, and I'm getting ready to get another course as well. So now that I'm signed in, let me go find 2.1. Okay, so you'll notice here, as I was remembering the layout, so since there's 7 of them, every one of them may have multiple lectures. Okay, so you can either and you'll probably want to watch the lectures, but if you know how to do this stuff, just continue to challenge. So let me start over. Okay, so now that I'm in here, right, I'm going to go back to the very beginning. And so in Chapter 1, there's 1.1 DOM manipulation and 1.2 updating styles. So if you're approaching this by just taking notes, then you would just watch the videos, okay? But if you want to do the challenges, because you may have more skill, then you'll go in and do the challenges. So if you do the notes, then in Blackboard, all you'd have to do is do the headings for each item, okay? So a few of you have been submitting files, and that's not what I require, okay? So you would do 1.1, okay, DOM manipulation. So I'm not going to write it all out, but you get the idea, right? And then do a heading, 5, and then give me your notes. So you will go through each one of these, and they're not very long. They should not take that long. But if you're going to do the hands-on, and again, choose one track or the other, if you're going to do hands-on, then go through, complete the hands-on assignment, and when you do that, you'll get the check. So give me a print screen that you got through all of these, okay? And then you'll move on. So I think this should take about the same amount of time, and I'll come back. This should take about the same amount of time those 50-minute lectures did. But if you find that it's, taking way more time than anticipated, then you might want to think about going through this from the notes perspective. Okay, but again, here's the deal. Some of this stuff we have not been introduced to, okay? Most of us. So in this class, based on our level that I've seen, some of you are more advanced, so you will probably pick and choose. But even those of you that this is more than what you have your experience level, consider this just an introduction to these concepts, because they are great concepts to take us to our next level. And here's the other thing about this is this is a fundamental tool to analyze any website, whether you're building it or not, to understand how websites are laid out from elements, from CSS. This stuff on JavaScript gets a little more involved, but at least you've been introduced to these concepts. Okay? All right, so that's what you need to do for the lecture for this week. So again, we're doing something a bit different, Code School. So let's jump to the hands-on for this week. This week I want you to take and it was really great, and I'll come back and talk about this. When I looked at the lecture 5 that I graded, lecture 5 output that you all did, many of you did exactly what I asked. You just attached an index.html file. But some of you did a zip file and gave me all the folders, which is great, and the images, okay? So it was great because I saw a variety of stuff, and really what I wanted was just that index, but I appreciated that some of you went ahead and did the whole thing of putting in subdirectories and images. So that's what you want to do for this particular assignment, okay, is whatever output comes out of 6, because he'll have images and a CSS file, that's what you're going to want to use. And here, if you want to use some code you've written before, that's fine as well. I prefer to see the week 6 final code that was from the Harvard lecture. So here's what you're going to do. There's 2 parts to this assignment. First is you're going to use Google Drive to host your files. So I've given you a link to a very straightforward way to do this. I just want to walk you through it, because when I first did it I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. So first you want to create a folder up on Drive and make it public. Okay, so I did this. I went into my Drive, I created a folder. Okay, so here's actually the folder I created, called CIT82, and I just called it WS for website. It doesn't really matter. So then I took that and I shared it and I made it public. Okay, so there we go. So I made it public. I saved that. So then this, okay, so let me stop there. So then what I did is I went into that directory and I uploaded an index file, and I uploaded 2 subdirectories called images and CSS. And that's what I want you to do, right, is to have this, because I'm pretty sure, remembering when I went back and did those Harvard lectures, he showed this as well, and whatever naming convention was used, use that. So now once you get this up there, Now what you would have to do is you have to, and following this example right here, is you reconstruct the URL based on this number and this wording. So I'll walk you through this. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to pull up my index file and I'm going to look up here, and this right here is the key. Okay, so you build the URL, and this, by the way, is a great experience to have. I'm just going to tell you because we're going to do this again on FTP, and just being simply introduced to it here is a good idea. All right, so I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to copy. I'm actually going to go ahead and copy just this part of it, right? This long series of codes. So then looking at this, I'm going to start typing. I'm going to start typing Google. Oh, actually, I want to do HTTPS / Google Drive.com / host / now I'm going to do that URL. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and do index.html. Now what is about to happen as soon as I hit enter is Google's going to look at this URL and change it into what it knows. So you can either copy it now, or you go ahead and hit return, and it will. That's actually the website, some coding I had done in the past. So you can either actually copy this one, okay, and provide it, or like I said, and actually I think it's better because it's really helping you understand the idea of piecing together a URL, HTTPS, Google Drive, host, the name, the long number of series numbers / then the actual name of the file. Okay, you could probably do it without this name and it would find the index, but you know, play with it either way. So you can upload CSS, JavaScript, and images here, which is awesome. Okay, so I think that should be a fun assignment for you. The second part of this hands-on assignment is I want you to look up a domain name. Okay, so if you've actually been looking for a domain name and you have one in mind, you know that's available, and you're worried about people, let me come back to you, you're worried about people taking it. Not a lot of people in here, I can't believe someone would see a domain that you're thinking about and go take it, but if you're afraid, then come up with something else. But again, I think it shouldn't be an issue. But so here's the other part, is find a domain registrar. Okay, so there are many out there. I use a couple, hover.com and enom. So then if I go to here and I say search for domain, and let's just say I said Rio Waller, and there's actually a new one called Rocks. There's a new TLD. Remember, we've kind of seen this. So what this does is it looks up the domain that I'm looking for and it tells me if it's available. Okay, so in this case I can actually, in this case it's going to tell me it is available, so I want something that's available, and then you just copy this URL. Now not all registrars will give you this type of output URL. This is basically a query string against a whois lookup to tell you if that domain's available. Okay, so I'm not only wanting you to look up a domain that you might want to use, but having this experience of knowing how to read URLs, way important. You can even see the file it's being thrown against here, which is an ASPX file. So in that case, it's actually an active server pages, which is a Microsoft standard scripting language. Okay, so anyway, going back, do that. So you have two topics in the hands-on. Give each one a heading, show us your output on those. Okay, so now moving on, because I'm a little over my time here. So for week 6 current topics, there's two things there. One is that I want you to put yourself in the position of the teacher for a moment, reviewing what we've done so far, and come up with what you think I should include, and this is minimum of 3 items, what we should include in the midterm. Now, I've given you a couple of ideas of what I had already thought of, which is taking the trace route and actually geolocating each hop, not just one, but geolocating and somehow drawing out the hops. And then the second part that we haven't done yet, that we're starting into, is actually picking your inspirational site, picking a page on your inspirational site, and doing some analysis like web structure analysis, file analysis, and there's different ways we could do that. So, but I want to hear some of the ideas you have. And of course this is not a democracy, but this is really a collaboration. So, because I I'm guessing that some of you have given this a little thought, and if not, this is your opportunity to do it. Okay, so I want 200 words on this. The second thing is, and this is, I'm not going to make this a hard requirement, but tell me what happened for this Google Plus Hangout that I was talking about before. What happened? Did you click on the link and it gave you some kind of error? Did something come up and you couldn't make it, and that just happened to everybody? Tell me what happened so I can troubleshoot this. And then I think next week I'll do another round of the doodle based on what I saw happen and give you maybe a more specific instruction. I thought it was fairly straightforward. You have to circle me up. That's actually the best way, because when I went to add folks individually, here's let me bring you back what happened for me. Was because when I go into Google Plus Hangout and I type people's names, Robert Turner was the only one that showed up, so he's the only one that circled me individually, so for me to see them. Okay, so that is a key step, and that may have, I'm not sure, that shouldn't have prevented it, because what I ended up doing was making a Hangout on air public, and then I actually shared it with somebody not in this class to make sure it worked, and it did fine. So something happened. I don't know what it is, so tell me. Okay. All right, so I think that's it. I think that is it for this week. I hope we have some things that challenge you. I hope we have some new experiences with Code School as we keep plugging away at our topics. All right, have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon.